Good evening and welcome to another edition of NNPA and Black Press USA. We're excited to have you joining us tonight. I'm your host, Taylor Thomas, and I want to remind you that the NNPA's conference is going to take place this month, June 22nd through the 25th. It's not too late to get tickets, so make sure you go to the website to get more information. The organization is celebrating 195 years of Black Press, the Black Press, and excellence in journalism. So we are so excited, and congratulations to all the wonderful publishers that make this celebration what it is. Tonight, we're going to be talking to some women who have nothing but Black magic in their corner. Joining us now, our first guest is LaTanya Simmons, and she is the Area Director for Au Pair Care. LaTanya, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Well, listen, so you are a working mother. You have I want to say twin boys, but they're young men, right? And then you have a teenage daughter. So you would think having a nanny, a babysitter, au pair is absolutely commonplace. How did you get into the au pair industry? Like, did you start it first and then decide to be an area director afterwards?
I actually started as a host mom.
Okay.
After I had the boys, we did an in-home daycare, and then I got pregnant with Eve. And I was contemplating whether or not I wanted to go back to work. I finally decided that I was going to go back to work, and then our childcare was just so expensive. The flexibility in our schedules, there was no flexibility. And so husband and I sat down and started thinking about options and talking about options, and we decided to go with au pair care and get an au pair, which is a cultural exchange program. At the time, it was just tapping into trying to see how things were going to work with the schedule and things of that nature. But having an au pair is like having another member of the family. It gives you your quality of life back. I had 3 children under the age of 2 when I first started with the program.
That is really interesting. So, you talk about, transitioning and going back into work and having a busy, schedule. You said you were a host mother. What does that mean to be a host mother?
To be a host mom means that you are bringing an au pair, someone from another country, into your home to share in a cultural exchange. You're going to learn about another culture. They're going to learn about your culture, and you share experiences. The beauty of having an au pair is your life and your children's lives don't change just because you have to go to work. So I didn't have to wake my children up to drag them out into the inclement weather, or I didn't have to take off from work because it was a snow day and schools were closed as they got older. Because I had an au pair here, I had someone that was able I could get up, get ready for work, go to work, and she then get up, get them ready, get breakfast ready, get them off to school once they became school age. But everything remained the same, and they had someone here that loved them and cared for them just as much as I did, which was a blessing. It's like having a big sister.
What was the interviewing process in finding someone? Because, you see on television, you see, and they make it all quick and easy, but obviously there's certain needs that you have and your family has when it comes to finding someone to live in your home.
For me, the first thing for me is just interviewing someone. You have a gamut of individuals that you can choose from, countries that you can choose from. We have Brazilian au pairs, we have Colombian au pairs, we have French au pairs, we have au pairs from Switzerland, au pairs from Turkey, au pairs from Germany. So the first thing you need to determine is a lot of families want their children to learn Spanish. Okay. So, and to be bilingual. So you first want to see what your needs are. The most important thing for me was the care that my children were going to receive. Most of these au pairs are educated au pairs. They have graduated from college, most. They have professions in nursing and teaching, but they all have childcare experience.
Okay.
So for me, it was someone that had a balanced background in caring for children. I had infants. The program has an infant specialized program. They've had it since when I came into the program. They're CPR qualified, all of those things. They have certain certifications that they have. For me, I wanted someone that was family oriented. So I looked at their profile. Their profile has an essay that describes who they are. It describes what they do, what their interests are, and I looked for like qualities. We also do assessments in personality to show, some au pairs have dominant personalities, and it comes out in their assessments. So you want a well-balanced au pair for you as you're bringing someone into your family.
And so we understand what the benefits are for the American families that choose to have an au pair. For the au pair, is it getting an opportunity to get an education or increase their, educational learning here, or is it just an experience in the U.S., or is it just financial?
It is all of the above. The au
Okay,
pair, in order to be in the program, must attend school.
okay.
They have to attend school and receive 60 hours or 6 continuing credits of education. In addition to that, they get to share in the American culture, learn English, better their English, and share in our life's experiences. And we learn their culture and share in their life experiences. Most of my au pairs were from Brazil. So I always tell people I'm Brazilian just by the mere fact that I love their food. I love the various dishes that we learn to eat. My children know songs from their culture and dances and things of that nature. So you become acclimated into the culture as you bring someone in from the countries that you choose the au pairs from.
Now, we talk about children and depending on their age, they get attached to people really quick. So, how long can you have one, or are they allowed to be an au pair for you or any family here in the US?
So an au pair can stay with a family for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
They can stay 1 year, and then the second they can choose to extend the second year and stay with the same family. What I will tell you is I believe the children are more resilient than the adults,
Mhm.
because for me, it was like losing something when an au pair left. For my children, they were excited to see who they were going to meet next, what country they were going to come from, what were they going to learn new.
Wow.
Um, at the end of the day, even when the au pairs leave, they don't leave. They may leave and go back home, but the children still talk to them. They still talk to the children, and you still have relationships with them. I have had numerous au pairs come back and visit and vacation with us after their program has ended.
So, with your company, is called Au Pair Care. Tell us more about it. And again, your area director for Au Pair Care. Tell us more specifically about your company and its
Um,
services.
in my opinion, au pair care is amazing. I was a host mom for 14 years with the
14
program.
years.
I got an au pair when my daughter was 6 months old and the boys were a little under 2 years old. And I kept an au pair until the boys were able to drive to go to high school. So it gives you your quality of life back. It gives you the flexibility in your schedule so that you can do the things that you need to do even once the children are older. If I wanted to go to the gym, if my husband and I wanted to catch a happy hour after work, we didn't have to worry about, what were we going to do with the kids or how were we going to get the kids from school, because we had someone that was taking them to extracurricular activities. We had someone picking them up from school or even the bus stop. Whatever our needs are for our children, we had the flexibility in that to get them to and from where they needed to be without worrying about our schedules. Um, Au Pair Care is an amazing company. It provides insurance for the au pairs. It provides um, all of the things they need. We have a agency in California. They have a local person, which is the area director that they can contact, the host families can contact and talk to as a resource if they have questions or have needs. And then they have a headquarters just in case something may not be going right where they need to talk back to someone in their country. They can go through the headquarters via the local director, area director.
So, in going to talking a little bit more specifically about au pair care. So, you've had one for 14 years. So, what are some of the things or qualities qualities, that you look for in families that come to you? Because not everyone, I'm sure, is a perfect match when they come to au pair care.
I always talk to the families that I interview and talk about the au pair being a part of the family. Um, You asked earlier the difference between a nanny and an au pair. The difference is you're bringing someone into your family to be a part of the family. You're going to share meals. You're going to share experiences. You're going to share conversations. Your children are going to have a lifelong big sister, even after the program is over. Um, I will never forget one of the au pairs told my daughter when my boys graduated from elementary school, she said, when you graduate from elementary school, I'll be back. And she called me and she said, it's almost time for her to graduate from elementary school. When's the date? And then I told her, and she called me later. She said, I bought my ticket. I want to come. I said, you can come, it's fine. And she came and she hid outside in front behind a tree. And so when I drove up, I told the boys, I said, you need you guys to bring some stuff in the house. And so everybody came outside. And when she stepped out from behind the tree, they all just took off running towards her. So, the love and the lifelong experiences that are built with an au pair and their children that they host. And when they have children, those are never ending experiences that I can't speak enough about. When I visit Brazil, I have houses that I can go to. When I visit Colombia, I have a family that I can stay with. When I go to France, I have a family that I can visit and stay with. It's building connections and bonds that are lifelong, that will never be broken. That's the
It's
key for me.
It sounds so exciting. And I think when most people think of au pairs, the way TV and movies have it, it's only for the extremely wealthy. Has that changed a little bit?
To be honest, the average cost of an au pair is about $380 a week. When you net it out, so
Mhm.
I personally think it's comparable to having doing and paying for any childcare, any after school activity. And the beauty of it is it's in your home. You don't have to drive to it. You don't have to pick it up. It's there where you can use it with the flexibility of a schedule that you set. An au pair can work up to 45 hours a week, up to
Okay.
10 hours a day. So those are flexibilities in your schedule that you may not be able to get with in-home childcare. If
Mhm.
the schools close during COVID, parents were working from home, children were in school at home. You had parents had au pairs there that could manage that, where the children weren't struggling or missing something because they were trying to work and manage that in-home educational experience that was taking place at the time.
So after your children leave the house, I think you have one left,
I
technically,
do.
right? Left. I mean, you still have that external family from all these different countries. And you know what? Name some of the countries. You said France, you said
I,
Brazil, Colombia.
Colombia, Dominican Republic. We have offer au pairs from Germany, Switzerland, um, China, Thailand. The list is very extensive in some South Africa.
Okay.
Some families have specific countries that they want au pairs from. I have families that children are in immersion programs.
Okay.
And they only want French au pairs, or they only want Spanish speaking au pairs. And if that is the case, we offer it. But I feel like all the countries, it gives you a vast variety of countries to choose from, where you can't make any mistakes because all of the girls are just so loving and caring. I haven't met or experienced anyone that is not genuinely a nice, loving person.
So they really vet them well in their home state and then of course here in the US. So we talk about, I talked about money and talked about, finding them. You talked about the hours as well. So does that mean every au pair is off on the weekend? Does that mean that they can get a side job?
So every au pair may not be off on the weekends.
Okay.
The way that the program is set up, an au pair should have one weekend off a month and a
Okay.
day and a half off a week. So that is the first thing. They're not necessarily guaranteed every weekend off.
Okay.
Now, they cannot work another job. The type of visa that they're here on is for the cultural exchange, and they are only here to be au pairs. So they can't work other jobs on the side. They're only here to be au pairs and to be a part of the family and loving and learning and caring and experiencing a family experience with the host family that has chosen them.
That really makes a lot of sense. You also talked about the au pairs need to be attending some type of school. So how is that expense covered?
That expense is covered by the host family. The host family pays up to $500 for education. The au
Okay.
pairs, some of the schools that they attend could be Prince George's Community College. It could be the University of Maryland, Southern Maryland campus. It could even be Lado. It could be virtual schools right now because of COVID. But it's up to $500, and it's 6 continuing education credits or 60 hours is what the program is accepting.
I just think this is so interesting. And I'm sure there's so many families that wish they knew about this when we were in the midst, the heart of the pandemic. We're still dealing with COVID. I don't want anyone thinking it's not over, that it's over. But, I can imagine the families that were probably reaching out. But obviously during the pandemic, you couldn't bring families in. How did the pandemic affect families that had au pairs here in the U.S.?
Believe it or not, I didn't have an au pair during the pandemic, but what I saw happen was that because borders were closed, the Department of State allowed the au pairs to stay longer than 2 years.
Good.
That
Okay.
was the first time I had ever seen that, and families absolutely loved it.
I'm
Um,
sure.
Not only that, and them being able to have them for more than 2 years, I believe that the children just got attached. I had a family just recently say, "Do you think we're going to be able to get another extension?" And I said, "No, the blessing is that you had it when you needed it, right?" But during COVID, families had the capability to work. Some families were essential and still had to work,
That's
even
right.
though their children were home. So they had au pairs that were there, able to care for the children, able to do what needed to be done in the home for the children, and nothing changed. And then you had families that needed au pairs and had them, as I said earlier, for the educational piece, where the children still had to be in school, still had to learn, and the au pairs became instructors and helpers with the schoolwork for the children while the parents worked from their computers.
What advice would you give to families that are thinking, you know what, maybe this au pair care is something that I should look into? What are like 2 or 3 things that they need to know, they need to have in place before even reaching out to you? And I think one of them, obviously, is you have to have a room for this au pair, correct?
Correct. Um, 3 things. The au pair should have a private bedroom.
Okay.
I would tell them to set their responsibilities, their guidelines, what their expectations are. Write them out so that if they're interviewing au pairs, they can explain what their expectations are, explain what the schedule is going to be, and explain the responsibilities. And be clear in what your family's needs are. And always, always share that you're looking for someone to be a part of the family, because that is not only important to the au pair, but it should be important to you that you have somebody that wants to come and share their experiences, their culture, and learn your culture and learn new experiences as well.
I love hearing that. Now, how can people, get information about au pair care? Because I know that this is, when I found out that you did this, I said, this is so interesting because, like I said, we see all these, these babysitters, and we, I'm familiar with the nannies, but the au pair is, and it's definitely common in Europe, really, really common in Europe. And obviously, over the last couple of years, more and more people are hearing about it. But to have it right here in our backyard, I think is pretty neat to hear about that and make it available to women who may not have known it's this close to home.
So if families are looking for an au pair and they're in the local area, they can always contact me. My phone number is 301-500-7903. 301-500-7903, as well as Au Pair Care has a website, www.aupaircare.com. www.aupaircare.com. Simple.
What's the process? The time that someone reaches out to you, Latanya, and the actual au pair coming to live in a home. What's that process? Can you walk us through? I reach out to you. Then what happens after that call?
So you reach out to me and you would fill out an application. During that application process, you will have to list two references, your employment, and you will have a background check run on you. In the meantime, at the same time all of this is taking place, a host family interview has to take place where I have a series of questions that I ask,
Mhm.
in addition to explaining the program, explaining the expectations of the program, looking at the room, the closet, the bathroom, and the home to ensure that it meets Department of State guidelines. At the same time, the host family is being interviewed and vetted. You are allotted or allowed to go in and now view au pairs. Once you've completed your application, you're able to go in and view au pairs and interview au pairs. Once you have been vetted and you're able to select an au pair, it takes about 6 weeks to get an au pair into the country from one of the countries that you've selected.
And so you talk about going and checking out the actual host family's residence. And so once an au pair comes over, and let's just say, everything was great on paper, everything was great talking, but after a week or two, either the host family or the au pair's needs kind of change. What is that like? Because the person's here in the country now. How does that work?
Um, So, first of all, the agency always asks, and during the host family interview, one of the things we explain is that the agency asks for a 60-day acclimation period.
Okay.
That's for personalities and all of the little quirks and things to be worked out. The area director is here to help facilitate if there are bumps in the road or questions and things of that nature. We're here to help talk through and be a comfort to the family and to the au pair. In addition to that, as you move forward in that 60 days, most of the time those things are worked out. But if something for whatever reason doesn't work out perfectly and it's just not, the au pair says, I want to go home, this isn't what I expected. We ask the au pair to give the family 2 weeks because sometimes we have au pairs here in country that are extension au pairs or for whatever reason something's they're in a transition moment. We ask they're available for the host families that are looking for immediate needs.
Okay.
And so we asked the au pairs to give the host family a 14-day period to interview au pairs. We have numerous au pairs that are maybe in California, maybe want to come over to the East Coast. And it's
Okay.
just a matter of that family interviewing an in-country au pair to bring them into their home and start that relationship.
You have mentioned throughout this interview her, her, her. So are all au pairs females?
No, they aren't.
I'm just wondering. So great.
They
So
are not. There
okay.
are male au pairs, and host families that choose male au pairs will not choose anything but male au pairs. I
Wow.
have a host family that she only had male au pairs, and she had babies when she started in the program. And one of her au pairs are her children's godfather.
Oh
One of
wow.
her previous,
Pretty
so
close.
that's relationships, and those children speak. So her au pairs were always from Germany, and those children speak German. But some families only get male au pairs. They need someone that's gonna be out doing the soccer and the football and all of those things with the kids. And that's another thing that I love about au pairs. I would come home and you couldn't tell the difference between the au pair and the neighborhood kids. All of the kids were out in the cul-de-sac playing and enjoying themselves, and the au pair was riding bikes, playing soccer, playing basketball, playing hopscotch, just enjoying themselves with the children in the neighborhood, not their host children, but the children in the neighborhood as well.
So what's the age range of au pairs with your au pair care service?
So the au pairs age range is from 18 to 26. If they're in the program at the time that they're interviewing, they can they can be 27 to transition over into the United States, but they have to be in the system prior to their 27th birthday.
I just think that this is really neat. I love having this conversation with you in regards to being an au pair. What are some of the common questions people ask you when they reach out to you about your services?
The hours, the
Okay.
flexibility in the hours. A lot of families have that question. A lot of families um, are concerned about making sure that they have the right living environment for the au pair. Um, a lot of families love the fact that I say you get to date again. you get to have your quality of life again. You know, they laugh and then they come back and say, you were right. You know, we didn't realize how much we were consumed. You know, growing up, a lot of our parents were, our mothers were home with us, right? And
Yes.
so, as women, you know, as parents, we feel guilty about the amount of time that we give to work.
Hmm.
But you know, this our children's lives shouldn't have to shift or change because we are now working, right? This gives them the ability to have that environment. You know, I'll never forget my daughter. Um, she had to write how do you in school. She was in like kindergarten, so the teacher wrote it out, but I know my dad loves me because I know my brothers love me because, and the au pair, I know the au pair loves me because she takes care of me. Mommy loves me because she buys me things, and I was so hurt, you know. And the au pair thought it was so funny, right? But even and we still talk and we laugh about that. She and I laugh about that. And when she left, I cried, you
Oh,
know. And so she came back to visit because her parents they all came back to the country for my daughter's birthday. And when she came back, my children were so happy to see her. And she did my daughter's hair. The birthday party was that day. And she said, you want me to do her hair? And I was like, that would be great. You know, that was a lifesaver for me,
welcome
right? But
back.
welcome back, you know. But it is just so heartwarming to remember and have the memories that you have of the relationship that you built for that year or that 2 years with that individual. You're right. I kept saying her because that's my experience, but there are male au pairs and they are fun and loving and caring just as much as the young ladies are.
I just really think this is just such a great story to be able to share that and to hear that and just to know the component about it really is, bringing them into the family and to let them learn your culture. Do you find that some of your au pairs end up coming back and staying and moving and living in the U.S.?
Um, I have had, I think I have three au pairs that are here in the U.S. that came back. One came back and got an education.
Okay.
Um, and I think she ended up getting her master's and she met her husband here. Another one met her husband in her country and they came back. He was an American and they came back to the United States. And then I think I have one more that was here. Her family extended her and sponsored her to be here. And she ended up meeting her husband and staying. But most of the girls go back because learning English is like gold in their country. So
Oh,
most of them go back. Most of them have lives before they come here, and most of them have careers before they come here. They're coming here for the cultural exchange and to grow and learn about the United States.
any myth that you'd like to dispel about having an au pair? Any one myth that just stands out to you that you want to make sure people understand that's not true?
I don't think so. I don't know of any myths. I haven't heard any yet.
That
It's
is
an amazing. It's amazing. So if you have one, I can dispel it, but I don't know of any.
I love it. So, Au Pair Care, of course, Latanya Simmons. Again, how can somebody reach out or get more information about the services provided through Au Pair Care?
You can again go to www.aupaircare.com or you can give me a call. I can be reached at 301-500-7903, 301-500-7903.
Latanya Simmons, thank you so very much. Great information about Au Pair service and how everyone can find someone to join them in their home, become a part of their family, whether they have one or three like you. That's what I want to ask you. I just got a text. They said, how many kids can an au pair manage? I'm so sorry.
I,
It was Kim.
so I've never had anyone ask me that question, but I have had families that have had 5 children.
Okay.
And they've cared for, so I know some au pairs that have cared for up to 5 children. Never been asked that question, so I'm sorry if I don't have an exact answer. But I do know some au pairs that have had 5 children in the household at one time and cared for those children. So I don't want to say it's not a limit on how
Sure.
many they can care for, but I will try to tap that it's 5. because I know that I've had au pairs to care for at least 5 children at a time.
I had to get that in. A question came in, so Kim, I answered your question. So LaTanya Simmons, thank you so very much. Area Director for Au Pair Care. Thank you so much for all your insightful information.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so we're going to switch gears now. And we're still dealing with the Black Girl Magic, right? So we talked about au pair services. And now I want to introduce you to a woman who is a major in the United States Army. She's a mother. She's a wife of 14 years. I think she has 2 kids. She's an author. She's a social worker. And she's a life coach. Would you all help me in welcoming Dr. Chi Quita Mack? Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful, Diva. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, first of all, can I start off by saying thank you for your service? I love women in the military, and you're in the Army, you're a major. That is phenomenal.
I always get so speechless when people say that because I love what I do. So you're welcome.
Well, it's clear. So you've been married 14 years. I believe you have 3 children. I said 2, 3 children, right?
Yes, I have a bonus daughter. Yes.
Okay, I love that. I love that, a bonus daughter. So there's a lot to you. I mean, you've got a lot of degrees. What really do people need to know about Dr. Mack?
That's a good one. That I made it. You know, my story is just impeccable. And to be where I am now, I'm breathless. I've been doing a lot of self-reflection lately. And, you know, my message is just don't give up on yourself. Anything you want to know about me is that I didn't give up on myself. And I'm so proud to be where I am today.
So I mentioned that you're an author. I mentioned that you're a life coach. Mm-hmm. I also mentioned that you're a social worker. Can we talk about your upbringing and we kind of move forward to the fact of you founding your company and this program that you have for women? But can we get a little bit of your history so we can understand, as a life coach, as a social worker, why this is so personal to you?
So growing up, we start with childhood. I mean, I had a great childhood. I was a military brat. So my father also served in the military over 20 years, and I followed in his footsteps. My journey starts more into college. I got pregnant with my son in college. 21, got pregnant at 20. I had him at 21. And so that was just a difficult time for myself because I'm a new mom, I'm a college student. Do I go home? What do I do? And me and my husband, we're husband now, fiance then, we're just like, what do? We don't want to go home. We're going to make it happen. And we came together to do that. But I found that I was going through the motions. I didn't really know what do I do? I'm a young mom. I don't want to go home. I'm by myself. I worked 2 jobs. And went to school. My husband did the same thing. My son went to daycare. I mean, we were just going through trying to make it happen. And I didn't really know who I was. I just was doing what I was supposed to do so that my son wouldn't have to want for anything. And as I got older, I started to realize I'm kind of like a robot. Who is Chi Quita Mack? I don't know. I couldn't tell you who I was, what I wanted to watch, what I like to do. Everything became, oh, well, my son likes to, and I like to do this with him. But I couldn't explain who I was. And that is what founded Chi Quita Mack, hence the company being called the Chi Quita Mack. So when you ask, who am I? I'm the Chi Quita Mack. I'm Dr. Mack. I'm an author. I'm a soldier. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. So.
I think that's interesting when you talk about you just were kind of robotic in a sense and doing what you were supposed to do as a person and a product of a military family as well. I wonder if a little bit of that being a military child and then being in the military, because it's not really about individual thinking. It's all one thought, right? And you're moving in the same direction. So I can imagine how if you had that as a childhood and then you go into that as an occupation and you get all the way up to major, that there's a lot of refocusing of your thoughts. You're in line with everyone else.
Mm-hmm. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a mom. And am I supposed to follow my dreams? No, I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to do take care of the child. That's what and then I'm not happy, but my child's taken care of, so it's a constant struggle. And what I found is that there's other mothers that feel that way too. They kind of feel stuck. Like, am I supposed to follow my dreams? Is that okay to want more than just motherhood? Is it okay to want to do the things that used to make me smile? And my answer is yes, it is. It's absolutely okay. And it's possible.
So I'm going to ask you a little when was your aha moment as far as the transition of, I can't live like this anymore?
Honestly, I had something traumatic that did happen about 6 years ago,
Okay.
and that changed my life. But it wasn't until the pandemic happened
Hmm.
that I was able to heal and do some self-reflection because I was forced to sit down. What I found was I was so busy using the kids as my crutch that I didn't want to deal with my own feelings, my own pain, my own struggles. So I put it on them. Oh, they have practice. Oh, let's go play outside. Oh, they have this. It's easier that way.
Sure.
When the pandemic happened, I couldn't go outside and I couldn't travel. I couldn't do anything. So I was forced to sit and think about who I am, what I wanted. Is this really what I want? Am I happy? I'm not. And I started writing, I started journaling, going through my healing process, which founded and created my book, The Beauty in You.
So, okay, so I have to make sure I can connect the dots. So I'm not sure if you're a writer or a poet by nature. What possesses you to then write down something? I mean, you don't just pop up and become an author. So how did that work out, Chiquita?
I love to write. That is my
Okay.
that is my release. That is what I do to relax. I love to write. I write articles for Brains Magazine now. I'm an executive contributor, and it is something that calms me down. So journaling was a big part of my healing journey. How do I feel? What are you feeling exactly? What does that look like to you? Okay, let me write it down, because saying I'm good doesn't mean anything. I'm good. I'm not really good. I'm angry. Well, why am I angry? Okay, let me write that down. So writing is my therapy.
And so, can we talk about the first book that you wrote and what's in it?
Yes. So The Beauty in You is just that. It's a self-discovery book. It's a workbook. We start from chapter 1, talking about the importance of self-actualization and getting to that point. We talk about self-care, self-discovery, importance of gratitude, loving yourself, what it means to love yourself. And the very last chapter is goal setting. So a lot of coaches will say, I'm here to push you to your full potential. When you start with me, I need to start from your beginning, going through your past, finding out your triggers, being able to identify those triggers to kind of figure out, well, what's holding you back? And then we push forward from there, and we end with goal setting. Okay, I know who I am. I know what I want to do. I know how I want to get there. So let's set these goals and let's get there.
So I have heard, and I've had a number of life coaches on the show. I haven't specifically spoken to them or interviewed them about being a life coach, but can you talk to me a little bit about the training that goes in being a life coach? Because I know all of us heard that name before, and I'm not sure if we understand fully what a life coach does. And maybe I mean, different people may have the same title, they just do things differently. So talk to us about that.
So different people have the name, and they do it differently.
Mhm.
For myself, my niche with my life coaching is, I say I'm the mommy mentor. And so I mentor moms and I coach moms and I empower moms and push them to find the beauty within, to be the best version of themselves and to get back to the woman that they used to be. So my process is just, like I stated, going to your past, identifying who you are, what you used to love to do, and how do we get you back on track. Some will say, oh, the difference between a life coach and a therapist is that a life coach is going to push you, and a therapist is going to get deep in there. Well, I'm going to get deep in there and I'm going to push you. We're going to do both, because I just don't see how we can move forward unless we do talk about those things in the past to figure out what is holding you back, because there's something there. And 9 times out of 10, we know what it is. We just don't want to go there. It's
You
easier
know,
to go over it.
since you have the social work background, you are a life coach. What do you think are some of the reasons that we don't kind of heal ourselves and just address things? Why does it seem like when people get bills, they just wait until it piles up or someone tells you it's been cut off? Is there something subconsciously in humans that people just block it out and think it'll just solve itself or not have result, be turn bad?
I think it's fear. I think it's fear. When you start doing the work within yourself and you're completely 100% honest with yourself and you write it down and you look at it and you're like, wow, is that me? No way. I'm not selfish. Am I selfish? And I really do think it's easier to just kind of overlook it. It's easier to put your time and attention into other things than versus building and actually doing the rediscovery of yourself. But I will tell you, once you start the work with yourself and you really start pouring into it and doing the self-reflection, it is beautiful. It is such a glorified moment to be like, oh my gosh, this is where I am. Once you change that mindset, it's amazing.
Now, do you find that because when you ask people to describe themselves, I think sometimes people think of what they want to be and not sometimes who they really are. You're like, I'm a great person, I'm caring. And sometimes I'm like, well, you're saying that, but you're not really. So how do you work and let people understand? I know that's what you want people to think of you, but in reality, that's not how you are portraying yourself.
So actually, there's an activity in my workbook
Yeah.
that is called Who I Am versus Who I Want to Be. And we actually go through and write down who you are. And I have little prompts that help you with that and who I want to be. And I also have another activity, and it's getting feedback, being able to receive feedback from others and not being upset by it. Absolutely, just say, hey, this is the worksheet that I'm doing. I want you to absolutely answer honestly what you think of me. And then we talk about how to receive that feedback, even if it is negative. So it's a lot of deep thoughts and reflection of who you are as a person. And you may be like, is that really me? I do that, don't I?
That is something that's really interesting. Giving a piece of paper to kind of answer questions about you honestly, and then
Honestly,
looking at that and seeing if it equals up to what you think you are yourself.
yes, do the work. We got to do the work.
How has response been to your book, The Beauty in You?
Amazing. And it's scary. It's scary when you do something because that's my baby, because that's what I wrote. That's my heart. And it's scary to take something like that that's personal, especially me. Sometimes I have a hardcover and put it out there
Yes.
to see how everyone's going to receive it. But I've hopefully keep going. Positive feedback I received from it, women that have really grown from it and understood themselves a little bit better, and just like, thank you so much. Or, I cried in your book, and I'm like, I hope it's good tears. Bad tears.
I'm sure. I know that I'm quite sure military wives could truly appreciate this, and I'm sure other wives can as well. But I definitely can imagine military wives needing to have something kind of to readjust either their thoughts or hey, I'm on the right track, or yeah, I'm starting to lean the wrong way.
Yes, and just being dual military because I'm in the military, but my husband is also in the military as well. And so I feel like I have like two ways to it. I can see it as a soldier and being in, and I can also see it as being a spouse. So I can relate to both. Like, I get it from the soldier point of view, but I get it as a spouse too. And so it definitely does help.
I think that's always great. I like people that are talking about things that they've lived through or done. It's kind of hard to meet a person who's a marriage counselor and they've never been married. I mean, I just think there's some, and the books are great. I'm not putting anyone down if that's your particular situation, but I think there's something to wait. As a person who grew up in the military, I think there's a number of things that you and I could talk about that we can absolutely relate, no matter what ranking our fathers were, no matter what countries we lived in. There's just some things that when you're in that category and you've been in that lifestyle that just we all go through. So for me was every 2 or 3 years moving somewhere else. So I didn't have childhood friends, so there's
Yes,
things that you can understand, right?
absolutely. Eighth grade, I went to 3 different schools for 8th grade, and then I moved my senior year. So I
No, not your senior.
understand.
My father promised me he would not do that to me. So we were fortunate, but I'm telling you, you're talking about a tough skin. After there's no need of getting to know people too long because I'm going to be gone. So that I definitely
Yes.
right.
Yes, I relate 100%. We could talk off of this. I have a lot.
I value people who can understand, and I can imagine women that are out there that are having that they're stay at home and taking care of the kids. And I do think you mentioned Dr. Mack about the pandemic and things really. I think a lot of eyes were opened in the pandemic because, as you said before, where you could use anything as an excuse. Even a man or a woman saying, I'm going out to the club, you couldn't have that anymore. So whatever you were dealing with or weren't dealing with at home, you had to deal with it because there was nowhere else to go.
Right. Listen, this is who I am. What I'm gonna do? I have to deal with it, and it puts you in an odd place. So when we talk about the pandemic, I say, it was a challenging time, but I'm thankful for it. I wouldn't be here without it. it's kind of odd to say, but I'm thankful for it.
I think there's a lot of good things that came from the pandemic outside of the loss of, 1 million lives here. I mean, that was the tragic part, but I do think it really had a lot of people waking up. And even during this, I keep mentioning it throughout the year that people have made millions from it, just thinking and training different and adapting to the changes that came with it. Businesses that were failing transitioned and now are flourishing.
Right.
The Beauty in You, where can they get a copy of that?
So it's available on all major platforms, Amazon, Target, Walmart, Barnes and Noble, and you can also get it on my website, which is www.thechiquitamack.com.
And so we also need to talk about your mommy mentorship. I believe it's called Rediscover. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So this is my mommy community. I will be launching next month, actually. You can sign up for the wait list if you want to be a part of that. But I'm excited about this too. So let's go a little bit back to when I said when I, got getting pregnant young, being alone. A lot of my friends were out partying and enjoying their 20s, and I was a mom and just going through motherhood, something that is beautiful, but feeling alone. So I said one day I was going to start when I'm able to. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I want to create a safe place for moms to come where they don't have to feel alone, where they have others that they can lean on, talk to, gain mentorship, and that's exactly what I have created. So Rediscovery is just that. It's a safe place for moms to come, get empowered. We'll do monthly coaching sessions. We'll have monthly workshops as well, different events around, some online and some local within the DMV area, just to give that mommy break. Childcare will be included as well, just thinking outside the box, giving mommy that free time. But I am so excited for this. I've been working so hard.
Well, I think you're fortunate too, because you did mention that your then fiance and the father of your child, you guys are both in college and you guys both chose to do that. I do not know how anyone even works in college, nevertheless work 2 jobs. You just said both of you, and have a baby.
Yes.
And go to school. That's a lot.
We were hustling. We were just trying to go. But we made it. And when we self-reflect and look back, we're like, wow, we can't believe. Like, we look at 20-year-olds and 21-year-olds now, we're like, we already had a baby by then. We were already running around trying to figure out life, and a lot of that time that's spent on that self-discovery, that rediscovery of figuring out who you are, we really didn't have it because it was like, oh, you got to grow up, you got to get it done. So
absolutely, and get it done, and you did so well, and then two other children after that. So with your rediscovery group that's going to open up next month, who should be reaching out to you? Who is this really for?
All of my mommies out there, all of my moms that just want to connect. You want to have the sisterhood, the bond, and you're just looking for that community. We're not, we can do this together. There's no need to feel alone. There's so many resources out there. There's so many people out there that you can connect to that kind of understand what you're going through. So all of my mommies, military mommies, single mommies, all my moms, it's for you.
And where do we go, Dr. Mack, again, to get more information about your rediscovery group, women's group that's going to take place start next month?
Yes. So if you want a daily update or weekly update, you can head over to my Instagram, which is the Chi Quita Mack. And there's a link in my bio as well. And that'll take you directly to that sign up link.
Wonderful. So do you have anything else that's happening as we there's a couple of months obviously left in this year as far as for 2023? Is there any big projects, another book possibly?
Yeah, book that's coming. I think I could write a Lifetime movie. That's something I do want to work on. But actually, I just started yesterday. I opened up the doors to accepting donations. I'll be doing a backpack jam, and I'll be partnering with 3 schools within the DMV area. Our goal for the Chi Quita Mack this year is to give 150 students backpacks. So if you would like to donate any supplies, please head over to my website, www.thechiquitamack.com, and we would greatly appreciate it.
That is a great activity. And I know, so many schools, it's so interesting because, you have a lot of organizations that are giving to schools. And I feel like because of the pandemic, the need has grown even more to get supplies for these kids to make sure that they have at least the basics when they go to school. So that is a wonderful thing to hear that you're doing. We talked about you being a social worker. We talked about life coach. If people want to talk to you and reach out to you about being a life coach, what are some things that they should have kind of ready before talking to you?
I would say be open and don't be, I say, judgmental. Just be open. Um, and have your own, I don't want to say coach, but maybe therapist. I say when you start this and you start coaching others, or even therapy with social work, and you kind of start taking on other people's issues as well, because we have big hearts with social workers. We want to help everybody. Just make sure that you have an outlet as well. So that way, as you're receiving and you're helping others, you're able to kind of get your information out too. And that'll just help you be a little well-rounded, so you're not carrying the weight of everyone's problems on your shoulders.
You know, when we first started talking, Dr. Mack, you mentioned about your childhood, and then you mentioned about college. Are you finding when you're talking about life coach or when you are dealing with social work that there's a lot that happens in a child's life that really dictates possibly the outcome as an adult?
Yes. And I would say, sorry, I have my eyelashes in my eye and it's just over here leaking. But I would say, and I find this fascinating too, the biggest impressions, 0 to 3.
Really?
0 to 3. That sets up your childhood. And when you start doing the research and start thinking about your environment and how you grew up and the things you went through from 0 to 3, you'll be like, oh my goodness, that is why I react this way or I respond this way to other people. But that developmental timeline, that 0 to 3, is so important. And it's definitely the foundation for us as we become adults.
That is really, really interesting. You know, I think there's, it's just intrigues me when people are able to figure out the basis of someone's anxiety or stress or personality. And again, with you doing social work, what do you hope when people come to you at the end of the day, Chiquita? What do you hope they leave with?
I hope they leave me feeling empowered, and I hope that they know that they can do it too. If I can do it, you can do it. And I'm very open. So whatever you want to know, just hit me up. We can talk about it. But I'm very open and just showing that you can do it. It's just the biggest thing. It's like I stated before, do not give up on yourself. There was times I wanted to give up on myself, but I did not. You can't give up on yourself. And so I want you to leave me feeling empowered, like you can take on the world, because most likely I'm going to be right there next to you taking on the world.
So, Dr. Mack, now you are counseling, you're helping people. Who's your background? Who's the person you get to lean on? Because that's one of the things. I've got a number of social worker members in my family, and they always tell you do need to have that person that you too can kind of go, because you hear so much, you know, right? And you're kind of going through the weeds and trying to help them. So, who do you lean on? Who do you rely on? How do you get yourself?
My mom.
Mom, what is that?
I call my mom. Hi, Mom. I know she's watching. I
I'm
call
on
my
that.
mom. I know. I call my mom a million times a day, and sometimes it's about nothing. I'm like, what are you doing? I know what she's doing. I call her the same time every day. I'm like, what are you doing? Working, Quita. Oh, okay. But my mom, there's so much strength in her. And growing up, I didn't know. I didn't understand. But when you self-reflect, you see the strength. And that's where I get it from. And then she got it from my grandma. That's my other rock. I love those two right there. Woof.
Well, you know, having a base like that can definitely help you no matter what you're going through.
Mhm.
So I have to thank you, Dr. Chiquita Mack, for talking to us tonight about really helping women find their core, find their strength, find their empowerment. I want you to repeat again. Next month, you have your rediscovery. Where can they go to get more information? And then if you'd also let them know how they can get a copy of The Beauty in You.
Yes. So any information that you need, you guys can find me on all socials at the Chiquita Mack. You can also go to my website, www.thechiquitamack.com. And for the Beauty in You, it's also available on my website, www.thechiquitamack.com, and on all major platforms, Target, Walmart, Barnes and Noble, you name it, it's out there.
I love it. Dr. Chiquita Mack, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the program.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you so much.
No problem. Well, that will do it for tonight's edition of NNPA and Black Press USA Fireside Chat. But I want to remind you, next week, we are going to do a special Father's Day edition. Hopefully I can get Norman Rich to show his face. That's our producer. He's probably shaking his head behind the camera. So hopefully we can highlight that. And I'm encouraging you, if you're tuning in, to please send me a video, 60 seconds or less, just really explaining and how important your father is, or the father or male figure in your life. Send it to Taylor Thomas Anchor at Gmail. That's Taylor Thomas Anchor at gmail.com. Just a 60-second or less message to your male figure, father, grandfather. We'd love to have it and play it live on the show next week. And I do want to remind you once again that the NNPA is having their annual conference. That's right, in gorgeous New Orleans. It is the Black Press's 195th year celebration, right? The focus is on amplifying your voice from freedom, justice, equality, and equity. It is going to take place at, take place June 22nd through the 25th. It is not too late for you to take part. And you don't have to be a member. There's a lot of great people that are going to be there. And I found out, get this, guys, I found out Stephanie Mills is performing on Friday. So I know that you want to be in the place to be able to celebrate with journalists and people that have been writing for 195 years, giving and telling the stories that no one else could tell the way we do. So I want to commend all of the publishers, 195 years, the Black Press, Black excellence at its best. Don't forget, you can go to nnpa.org for more information about the conference, which is June 22nd through the 25th in New Orleans. Hope to see you there. Until next week, everyone, God bless and goodbye.